What's up, gamers? Just woke up. We're drinking our coffee. Woke up this morning, was looking at Reddit, and I saw a post that was a new player coming from League. And I've seen a few of these posts lately where like new players who don't know how to play and want to learn. So I thought maybe I'd make a little video and just kind of talk about some of my thoughts. Just for my credentials, I have been playing Dota for probably 20 years on and off. I started back in Dota 1, at basically the beginning. So I've been playing for a really long time. I've hit Immortal multiple times, which is the highest rank, and just thought I would make a little video to try to help out some newer players. So I'm not great at making videos. I don't know how to do a lot of the editing and stuff. So I'm just gonna one take. I have a little notepad on my phone that has some notes and try to give you guys some idea of where to start with Dota 2. So especially, I think for coming from League of Legends, it'll help if you have like some MOBA knowledge. If you're coming from League, I think this video would probably be really helpful for you. If you're really new to MOBAs, good luck. Good luck. I mean, you can watch, obviously you learn some stuff, but it's tough. So you start off in Dota with the draft. This is a game I played last night, and basically, if you're just playing like all pick, like the normal ranked and unranked kind of mode where you're picking, each team picks two heroes first. They're blind picks, so the other team. This isn't how the draft looks for you. This is how it looks some in a replay. But basically, the Dire team picks two heroes, the Radiant team picks two heroes. The other team doesn't see the two heroes until their heroes are exposed. So once both picks are made from each side, then those two heroes are shown for each side. Then two more heroes are picked, kind of blind pick, and then last pick happens at the end. Generally, the first two picks for each team are supports, so you're just kind of showing your supports because your cores don't want to get countered by first phasing, because usually like the supports will pick first, then like the carry and the offlane pick, which I'm going to explain what those mean in a minute here, and then usually the mid gets last pick so that mid doesn't get countered. No one gets to see that mid pick until the end of the draft. Now, sometimes that changes. Sometimes they give the carry the last pick. Sometimes if you have a carry or a hero that you just really want to play and you don't care what the other team's going to try to counter you with, you could just first pick it. So that is an option too. So in this game, I'm playing carry. I'm playing Terrorblade. I'm going to explain what kind of carry means and how the roles work. So I'm playing carry. So there's basically in Dota, there's carry, there's mid, there's offlane, there's support, and there's hard support. So it goes 1 through 5. So you'll hear a lot of times people say, I'm playing 3, or I'm playing 4, or I'm playing 5, or I'm playing 1, or I'm playing 2. Those are alternate names for carry, mid, offlane, support, hard support. Now in League of Legends, I know there's a jungler. In Dota, there are no junglers. There used to be at some point. There are no longer junglers. So people do jungle a lot later in the game, especially after 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. You'll see people taking a lot of jungle camps and stuff. Excuse me. Because they don't want to show on the lanes and whatnot. But basically, early game, no one's jungling. So two heroes will go top. First of all, this is the Radiant side. So if you hear me saying Radiant and Dire starts top right. Their buildings are red. Well, they're red for the sake of replays. And Radiant starts bottom left. It's kind of a tale of good versus evil. This is the good team. This is the evil team, the Dire. But anyways, so the roles go 1 through 5. So 1, also known as carry, your job in the game is to get last hits. You kill creeps, you get gold, you get XP. You're kind of trying to carry the game. So there are carries that do want to get more involved early, but a lot of carries, you'll want to be farming. You'll want to be farming up your items, and you'll want to be, kind of preparing for having items later in the game to win. And there are like timings when you'll want to fight. And if you're close to a fight or you're farming towards a fight, there are times when you're fighting. But kind of generally, the one position you're the carry, you want to get as farmed as possible. You want to get as many items as possible. And I'm going to explain the items here in a little bit. But your one position is your carry, farm. Now, the lanes go 2-1-2 every game. There used to be tri-lanes, there used to be junglers. Now, The meta has been like this for a long time. Each team sends two heroes to the top lane. So as you see here, we have two heroes going towards top. They also have two heroes going towards top. One versus one mid, just like in League, and two versus two bottom. So in League, there's an off lane or one hero who's the going in a 1v1 lane top. In this game, there is no 1v1 lane other than mid. Mid is 1v1, top is 2v2, bottom is 2v2. So the one goes to the safe lane. They call it the safe lane. It's really not that safe. The safe part is the creep wave meets closer to your tower a little bit. It meets around here. So it is, you are closer to your tower where the offlane tower is way up here. So they're way down here, closer. The creep waves meet around here. So the safe lane, you are closer to your tower, and this is your jungle. This is the Radiant jungle, so you're, in theory, you're safe. But, carry heroes are weak a little bit early game. Not always, not all of them, but generally they're a little bit weaker. It is typical for a carry to be a little bit behind early. Not always, though, but it does, that is something, if you're wanting to play carry, that's something to keep in mind, that you are probably going to be a little weak early on. So the one goes with the 5. I should probably go in order though. So 1 is carry, 2 is your mid laner. So the way the 1 through 5 works is it's basically farm priority. So your 1 is the top farm priority. You want your 1 to get as much farm as possible. You don't want to take farm from your 1. Your 1 is going to carry the game. Your 2, that is your second highest farm priority. That's your mid laner. In this case, I have a Luna mid. Luna is not a mid lane hero. Luna is a carry hero, sometimes a support, sometimes. Mostly a carry hero, though. I have a Luna mid in this game. So she's the 2. Her role I'm just spitballing here. I don't, have this all typed out anywhere or anything. This is how I am. I just do what I feel like doing. So anyways, the 2 hero, you are farming, but you're also kind of controlling the tempo for the game. There's a lot of things that go with being the 2 and a lot of decisions that you can make that can make or break the game for your team. So in a lot of situations, you're wanting to farm, but you're also wanting to fight with your team, kind of like make space for your carry. It depends on what 2 you're playing, kind of what you want to do also. But your job is kind of to control the power runes, which I'll explain in a little bit. You want to control the power runes. You want to win your lane. And then it's kind of like, okay, do I want to farm? Do I want to fight? I want to, help my team. Like, there are a lot of choices to be made from the 2 position, which I actually have spent probably 10 years of my life playing mid. I don't play mid anymore because I'm over it. I don't want to play it anymore. But there are a lot of like hard decisions that you have to make as the 2. Typically, a lot of 2s are like, damage dealers. A lot of times magic damage dealers. Your carry's always, most of the time, going to be a physical damage dealer, because you want to have a good mix, because you don't want to have all physical damage, because then they can itemize against physical damage. They could build a bunch of armor, and it would be tough for you to play against it in team fights and stuff. So you want to have like a good mix. So a lot of times the mid will be like a magic damage dealer, the carry will be a physical damage dealer. Okay, so that's 2. So then your 3 is your offlaner. This is 3, also known as offlaner. Generally a tankier hero. Generally a hero that, has some team fight, some initiation. Someone that can kind of be a frontliner. So a lot like in League. In League, your top laner a lot of times is also your kind of tanky hero. In Dota, it's the same. Your top laner, not always. Some people, don't do that, but generally, you want an initiator, a tanky hero being your 3 in your off lane. Your 3, you want to be aggressive. You want to take your enemy tower as soon as possible. You want to try to play kind of in the enemy jungle a little bit a lot of times. I don't personally play 3. It's kind of the one role that I've not really played a whole lot over my time, just because I don't like playing the tanky initiator type heroes. I like kind of playing flashier heroes. But the 3, typically the 3 I want on my team, I want to have initiation, I want to have tankiness, and I want to have them playing kind of like a psycho. I want to have them being aggressive, creating space for me. Because if they're running around trying to fight your 3 or their 3, I don't want my 3 farming in my fucking jungle. I want my 3 playing up. I want them playing, aggressively taking enemy farm. Yeah, so that's pretty good about position 3, I think. Position 4, that's also known as your soft support. They are, they kind of roam around a little bit. They lane with the 3. The 3 and the 4 lane together. If you're on Radiant, that's top side. If you're on Dire, it's flipped, which this is a weird thing about Dota versus League. In League, it's like carries always go bottom with the supports. Well, in this case, carries don't lane against carries. The carry for Dire lanes against the 1-5 for Dire lane against the 3-4 for Radiant. And the 1-5 for Radiant lane against the 3-4 for Dire. So the off lane and the soft support lane against the carry and the hard support. So the 4 typically has some roaming potential. Also does a little bit of supporting, like buys some wards here and there. You want to carry detection a little bit. You're not going to have farm like your cores are. The cores are 1, 2, 3. So those are your 3 cores. So your 1, 2, and 3, your safe lane, your mid, your off lane. And you have your 4 and your 5. So the 4 is going to have more items than the 5. They're both supports. The 4 is the soft support. The 5 basically. So that's the 4. The 4, a lot of times you want to pick like nice heroes as a 4 that synergize with your lane, also synergize with your team fighting and stuff. But you are playing a support character. Then as the 5, you are the hard support. In this case, I have a Pudge 5. This is not a hard support character, but this is obviously a guy who doesn't want to play support, and he's playing what he wants to play. So that makes this lane really hard for me, but I'm leaning with the 5. The 5 buys the wards, the 5 buys the detection, the 5 is the poorest hero in the game on both teams usually, and the 5s are... I actually also play 5. I play 1 and 5 are my 2 kind of roles that I play now. And so as the 5, I always want to hold on to a ward for like a team fight. When a team fight breaks out, I want to get control of that vision. A lot of it is the vision battle. You want to protect your team with good vision. You want to control the enemy team vision. You want to help your team fight. You want to help your carry get farm, and then you want to help your team fight. I mean, you're very much the hard support, a lot like in League. If you're playing like fucking Leona or something. Now in Dota, warding feels a lot more important to me than in League. In League, at least when I played League, the way that I felt about it was it's like, okay, I'm going to put a ward in this bush and hope that so I don't get ganked. In Dota, vision is so important. And in League, I wasn't good enough. I mean, in League, I think I was like Plat 1 or Diamond 5 or whatever. So I wasn't like a great League player, but that was how I felt about the vision. Was I didn't feel like it was that important. I feel like in Dota, vision is so important. You have to fight on vision. You want to control, but we're going to get to vision later. I'm not going to start ranting about vision now. Let me look at my notes to see where we're going now. Okay, so you get into a game and you don't know what you're doing. So you pick the nice thing about, say you pick a carry hero or whatever. This is the shop. So you click this button and it opens up your shop. You want to set it to a hotkey. For me, I use the number 4. That opens up my shop for me. You open up your shop, and I recommend Dota Plus. I use Dota Plus. It's like $3.99 a month, I think, and basically it gives you, but you're just dipping your toe into Dota, so maybe you don't want to get the Dota Plus yet. Open up your shop, and for whatever hero you're playing, pick a guide. So you click Browse All Guides right here. Since I am in this game, but since I'm watching a replay, it's not letting me do it right now. But you click Browse All Guides and just pick the top guide for your hero. Usually the top one is a good one. They all have like percentages of like if what they're liked or whatever, like 90%, people like this guide. Click on the guide, click choose. That's going to help you. It shows you what starting items to buy. It shows you what items you want to get. It also, they have little notes on them like, hey, stuff like that. So for new players, for me, hey, what's up, baby? For me, for new players, I don't think you want to try to learn all these items. I mean, there's just so many items in Dota. There's so many heroes. There's so much to learn. Take this part out of it for now and pick a guide and follow the guide. So make sure you're picking a guide for your role too. Like some heroes, like a hero like Pudge, if you picked a Pudge guide, it would be probably a Pudge 3 guide or a Pudge 4 guide. But maybe you could find a Pudge 5 guide if you scroll down the list a little bit. They have little, notes on the description. So make sure you pick the guide for the role that you're playing. A hero like Terrorblade, he's only a carry, so it's all going to be carry guides. So it makes it really easy to pick a guide. So I would pick a guide, get the starting items, and just kind of follow that guide and what it says to get, and kind of read the items as you go to like learn them. But don't stress yourself out trying to learn all the items right away. Kind of just follow the guides is what I would recommend, because there's just so much to learn in Dota and it's overwhelming. And just take the items out of it for now. When you get better and you learn the items, you're itemizing in certain games for certain things to counter certain heroes and to counter certain items that the other people have. But to start out learning the game, I think it's simplest to just follow guides and worry about learning the items and what items are good against certain things later in the game, because I think basic guides are actually really good just for generally. So I would say follow some guides early on. And they are typically really good. So next we've got item slots. So in Dota, you have 6 item slots. So these are my active item slots. So these are all really cheap items, obviously, because you only get 600 gold to start. These are my starting items. These are regen. So you eat a tree and it gives you health back. So, you take a little bit of damage, you click on your tango, and then you click on a tree. It seems kind of weird. You eat the tree, and then you're slowly kind of gaining health over the next 16 seconds. 7 health over 16 seconds. And this has 3 charges. You always want to start with tangos. They're really, you're going to take damage in the lane, and you're going to want to heal up. So you're always going to want to start with tangos. There's so many things. I don't want to get into too many small things. I want to kind of keep it more general. But you have so basically you have 6 item slots. They're active, and then you also have these backpack slots. So whatever's in your backpack is not an active item that you're using. So if I move this to my backpack, I'm no longer getting the 3 agility for it. It's basically extra carrying space. There's different kind of more complex ways that you can use it, but basically think of it as just extra space where you can carry stuff if you don't have enough room here for all your items. So you have 6 active item slots, 3 backpack slots for extra slots. Then you have a neutral item slot. So neutral items spawn from jungle creeps later in the game. So these are your neutral items. So your first round of neutral items. So after 7 minutes, when you kill a jungle camp, so there's jungle camps that spawn neutrals, there's a chance to drop a neutral item. So you have tier 1 neutral items will drop after 7 minutes. So everyone on your team gets a tier 1 neutral item. So say I'm playing Terrorblade, so I'm the one that's jungling, I might get all the neutral items, and then you might have to get it from the shop. Because when I get one, and then the other ones I get just automatically go to the shop. So then you go to the shop, you have a tier 1 token. You click on the token, and it gives you choices between one of these neutral items. So you'll get to pick which one you want. So at 7 minutes, the first tier neutral item. So from 7 minutes to 17 minutes, you're using a tier 1 neutral item. They just give you small buffs like this one, Faded Brooch. 150 mana, 15 move speed. Sweet. It's nice to have an extra 150 mana. I only have 350 total, starting mana. So here's an extra 150. That's really nice. They all do something different, so you'll have to read them. If you have Dota Plus, it does give you a percentage of which one people take on that hero. So you might see Faded Brooch 60% with Dota Plus. You're like, oh shit, this must be good on my hero. 60%, I don't even have to use my brain. I can just use Dota Plus and it can tell me which one to pick. For not knowing them, you don't want to sit there and read, it's overwhelming. You might just want to go with the Dota Plus thing and just kind of take the one that's best for your hero. 17 minutes, tier 2 neutral items drop. So at that point, you don't want to waste a slot in your backpack on your tier 1 neutral item. You just want to get rid of it. So you can right click on your tier 1 neutral item, click teleport to stash, and it goes away. And then now you're picking up the tier 2 neutral item, and then you pick between these 5 items. Then at 27 minutes, the tier 3 neutral item comes. At 37 minutes, the tier 4 neutral item comes. And then a lot of times you don't see these tier 5 neutral items because it's 60 minutes and beyond, but they're very powerful. So 60 minutes, you are looking for a tier 5 neutral item quickly. That's like, once it hits 60 minutes, everybody's like, we got to get the tier 5s because they're so strong. But basically, that's the neutral items. And then you have a teleport slot. So in League, you don't have a teleport. You have a recall. So wherever you're at on the map, you can recall back to the fountain. In Dota, there is no recall. But you have a teleport slot. But the teleport, you could teleport to any building you want. So like if I'm sitting in the base and I want to teleport to the creeps, I can just teleport right to this tower. Or if I'm at this tower, or say I'm freaking up here, I could teleport back to the base. I could teleport back to any tower. It does have a cooldown. When you die, you get a teleport scroll. So if you're dying a lot, you get a new scroll every time you respawn. But if you run out of scrolls, you start with 1. So if I use this one and I don't die, I have to buy another one. They're 100 gold. So you want to always have a teleport scroll, because if a fight breaks out top, you're going to want to and you want to teleport to it, you want to have the ability to teleport to it to fight with your team and stuff. So you always want to have a teleport scroll. If you use it, buy another one. So that's the teleport scroll. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, couriers. So every player starts with a courier. So you don't have to recall like in League to go get your items. Your items will come to you. You just have to tell them to. So hotkey or courier, for me, I use number 3. So my shop is 4, my courier is 3, my hero is 1. So I press 3, and then there's a little grab all button. When you're getting something on the courier, it'll pop up over here on the right where I'm mousing. It'll show all your items in your stash that you've bought, but you don't have yet, because you buy your items while you're away. You buy your items. There'll be a little thing that pops up over here. You press 3 to select your courier. You click grab all. And then for me, I have this button binded to Q. This is transfer items. Your courier also, it walks at the beginning. Once you hit, I think it's level 4, it starts flying. Eventually, I don't know what level I should, but I don't. There's so much to this game. Eventually you unlock a speed burst, so your courier will fly faster to you. And then eventually you unlock a shield, because people can kill your courier. So you have to be careful with your courier so that it doesn't get killed. But your courier will bring you your items. So if you go to lane, you get low, you use all your tangos, you can bring yourself more regen. You can bring yourself your items. You can bring yourself your magic wand. You can bring yourself your wraith band. You can bring yourself your boots. You can bring everything to you, so you don't have to go back to base. Ideally, you're not going back to base. You don't want to go back to base, but you're going to have to, sometimes, But ideally, you want to use your courier as much as possible to bring you items as quickly as possible. You want your items right when you can get them. You want your boots, you buy your boots, you send them out right away. You don't, boots are 500 gold. You don't wait till you have 800 gold to buy your boots. You get 500 gold, you buy your boots. This is quick. This is a quick buy. And I'm looking at my perspective, so you can see what I have. This is at the start of the game. I have all this in my quick buy already. So I have my Wraith Band, my Power Treads are these 3, my Magic Wand, and then also my next item too are already in my quick buy. So as I'm acquiring the gold for them, it makes a noise in my headset, like a ching noise, telling me I have enough gold to buy something in my quick buy. And I have quick buy bound to a button on my mouse, my thumb button. So when I have enough gold to buy my Wraith Band, I just press my thumb button, boom, it buys it, because you don't want to be fucking around in the shop when you're trying to lane. You're trying to get last hits, you're fighting, there's shit going on. You don't want to have to, oh God, I open the shop, oh, where's the Wraith Band? Oh, I can't find it. Oh, I gotta type it. We're looking down at my keyboard, Wraith Band. And then, no, that's terrible. You can't do that. So at the beginning, you want to put stuff in your quick buy, so then when you get enough gold for it, you click your mouse button, 3, grab, there's actually ways to set your courier up even easier than that. You can actually bind your courier to bring your items with just 1 button. Personally, I've just always kind of done it this way. I press 3, I click grab all, and then I press Q, and my items are on the way. That easy. One button on my mouse, 3, grab all, Q. I don't even have to look at anything. My items are on the way. So now they're walking out to me. This little donkey, this is mine. This little donkey is just going to walk my items down the lane to me until I have them, and then it walks back. So that's couriers. Everyone just starts with one, which is really, really nice. Okay, so I want to go over some just random stuff on the map so you know what it is. So first of all, there's towers. Kind of, I mean, if you've played League, you understand. There's tier 1 towers, there's tier 2 towers. So, you're wanting the tier 3 tower guards the racks. In Dota, the racks don't come back. In League, the inhibitor comes back. In Dota, they don't come back. So when you kill the racks, stronger creeps spawn for you. And then obviously with the eventual goal of killing the T4s and killing the throne to win the game. So, you see all the towers. There's tier 1, tier 1, tier 1, tier 2, tier 2, tier 2. And then, there's the river that goes down the middle, obviously. The things that I want to explain, there's these little watchers. So if you channel on one of these watchers, it gives you vision of that area for 7 minutes. So it's kind of like a free ward. These are kind of newer things. It's kind of like a free ward. It gives you vision for 7 minutes unless the enemy team channels it. If the enemy team channels it, then the vision goes away. And so there's kind of like a little okay, who's got the watcher? They spawn, you see the little white dots all over the map are these watchers. And so one team can control them at a time. And if the other team controls it, you channel it just to make it neutral again. And then there's a little time that goes by before you can make it be yours again. So you definitely want to try to control these, somewhat. It's not that, it is important, but it's kind of a smaller thing. Also, there's these little lotus pools. There's one here in the top left of the map. And if you're not following where I'm at, look at the mini map because it's showing you, where I'm clicking on the mini map. So there's a lotus pool here. And then there's a lotus pool that's on the, on the top left. And then there's also one, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom right. There's one down here too. So these every 3 minutes spawn a little lotus, a little flower. And they're little kind of you hold them in your inventory. You want to pick them up as much as you can. So they spawn at 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes. So at 3 minutes, you want to get the lotus that spawns. So you want to be over here. The creep wave will be right here. And whoever gets this lotus, it gives you a little health and mana, basically, when you consume it. So you just keep it in your inventory. When you need a little health and mana, you can consume it. It gives you a little health and mana. If you get 3 of them, it turns into a bigger lotus. If you get 6 of them, it turns into an even bigger lotus, and so on. So the lotus pool is very important in lane. A lot of times, whoever's winning the lane can control the lotus pool and can control that extra health and mana that you can get from that. Gosh, this is kind of a lot of information, but I'm trying to cover it, and I'm doing it in kind of a longer form just because I think that maybe it'll be more understandable, some of the stuff, and not crammed and condensed into such a short 10-minute video. I'm kind of trying to talk a little bit more and explain a little bit more just to try to actually help, retain some of the information more. So on either side here, wisdom runes spawn every 7 minutes. Wisdom runes give experience to whoever picks it up, and then the next lowest experience person on your team. So supports typically at 7 minutes, at 14 minutes, they want to pick it up. There's this one here on the top side. It spawns right here on this little circle. And then there's this one here on the bottom side. So if you can get both the wisdom runes, that's a huge XP swing for your team. Typically, Radiant gets this one, Dire gets this one, and that's going to happen every 7 minutes. So keep that in mind. It's very important for supports, especially if you're under leveled. Oh shit, when's that wisdom rune coming up? Because I'm not doing too hot. So it gives XP to 2 people on your team. The 2 lowest XP, basically, if you're the 4, you pick it up, it gives you XP for the 4 and the 5, basically like that. So anyways, that's the wisdom runes. There's also bounty runes that spawn on these little circles every 5 minutes. So one spawns here. At the beginning of the game, one spawns here, one spawns here, one spawns here, one spawns here. So kind of in a typical game, each team will get 2. Some games, one team will get 3. It basically gives like 50 gold to everyone on your team. So the bounty runes are important. They spawn every 5 minutes. One spawns here every 5 minutes. One spawns here every 5 minutes. And they basically just give gold to everyone on your team. The longer the game goes, the later in the game you pick it up, the more gold it's going to give to everyone on your team. So those are important. And then there's also power runes. So in the river, this is where the mid lane is. This is where the mid lane creeps are spawning or fighting. Every 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 4 minutes, a water rune spawns at each one of these that gives a little health and a little mana. But then at 6 minutes, and then every 2 minutes for the rest of the game, so 6, 8, 10, 12, till the game ends, a different power rune will spawn at one of these 2 locations. Now the power runes are really strong. There's double damage, there's haste, there's invisibility, there's illusions, there's shield runes. I'm not going to explain what everyone does. They're kind of self-explanatory from their names. But basically the mids and sometimes supports will come to control these too, but the mids kind of are fighting over these. Sometimes one goes to the top one goes to the bottom one, and wherever it spawns is a big advantage for that person. So at 6 minutes as the mid, you're kind of wanting to, get that rune. So runes also fill bottles, which is not something in League. Basically a bottle is like Flask, except bottle's way better. But it's like Flask. You use a charge, gives you health, gives you mana over a couple seconds. And then it fills up when you go to base. You get 3 new charges. But in Dota, if you pick up a rune with your bottle, it fills your bottle for you. So if you're out of bottle charges as the mid, most mids go bottle. First item pretty much. Not all, but most. You want to control the water runes early. You want to get the water runes early. You want to get the power runes because they're going to give you those 3 new bottle charges too. And the bounty runes also give bottle charges. They only give 2, but that is something too. It's further away for the mids, but they're that all runes give bottle charges. So if you're mid and you are close to this bounty rune and your mid has a bottle, don't pick it up because your mid wants to refill his bottle with it. So that's another. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on the runes and the bottle refills and stuff, but that's just kind of a basic overview. Okay, other things on the map, because there are a lot of things on the map now. There's these gates. There's one here below the Radiant Tier 1, and there's one here above the Dire Tier 1. If you channel this for something like 3 seconds, it will teleport you to the other way gate. So if you're bottom and you channel this thing, you right click on it, it will teleport you here and vice versa. So, if the enemy carry, because the carry for the Dire goes top, if the enemy carry is way down here, the support and sometimes the carry too can hop through this gate. You're here on the Radiant, so I'm down here. I can hop through this gate and be behind the enemy carry. So I can hop through the gate, I can walk down these stairs, I can come down this way. There's a watcher here to be mindful of. But I can walk down here and be behind him if he's up here farming. So it's important to pay attention to where the other lane is, especially if you're like the support, because you can sneak up behind him and all of a sudden it's a 3 versus 2 instead of a 2 versus 2. And you can, swing this whole fight, get a big kill on the carry and kind of, hurt his laning phase a lot. Okay, let me see what else we got here. I guess I could play this a little bit. That was kind of my intention. Okay, and then there's scan and there's glyph. So scan is a button right here. It's bound to the P key. I believe that's the default. I usually just click on it because P, what am I going to look like? Reach all the way over to the right side of my keyboard and press the P key? That's crazy. But anyways, so it's a 3.5 minute cooldown. Or no, is it 3.5? Yeah, 3.5 minute cooldown. And you get 2 charges of it as a team. It's shared as a team. And you can scan a location on the map to see if there's an enemy team there or an enemy player there. So say you think they're doing Roshan, which I haven't got to Roshan yet. Think of it right now as Baron from League. But say you think that they're doing Roshan, but you're not sure. You click your scan button, you scan the Rosh pit, and then if it turns green, no one's there on the enemy team. If it turns red, oh shit, they're doing Roshan. So that's scan is a cool thing. Glyph is a 5-second cooldown. So we're going to move on to Glyph here. Glyph of Fortification. So Glyph makes it so all of your towers and creeps are super protected. They can't take any damage when you activate it for 7 seconds for towers, 4 seconds for creeps. So if they're hitting your tier 1 tower right here, you can press the Glyph and the tower is invincible basically for 7 seconds and the creep wave is invincible for 4 seconds. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with this. I'm not going to get into that. Basically, you have the fortification every 5 minutes. Now, when the first tier 1 tower dies, your Glyph resets. And then you can Glyph again. And then when your first tier 2 tower dies, the Glyph resets again. When your first tier 3 tower dies, your Glyph resets again. So those are your 3 Glyph resets. So if you have all your tier 1 towers up, just as a quick example, and your tower's about to die, there's no reason not to Glyph because the Glyph will reset when the first tier 1 tower on your team dies. So but if your tier 1 tower is dead and the other 2 are still up, and say this tower's about to die, then if you Glyph, it doesn't reset when the tower dies. So just keep that in mind. It resets the first tier of each tower that dies. The Glyph will reset, except for the tier 4s, just tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So that's the Glyph. I'm not going to... There are, little cheeky things you can do with the Glyph. Not going to get into it. That's kind of the basics, though. Okay, so there's also characters that can go invisible. There's items that can make you go invisible. And this can be a real frustration, especially in low MMR when people aren't buying detection. And so if there's a hero that's going invis or an item that's making them go invis, there are ways to detect invis. So in the shop, there is a sentry ward. You can place that down. You place a sentry ward down. Let me see if there's a sentry down somewhere. There's a sentry ward right here. So you place a sentry ward, and this is the vision that this circle is where it detects invis. Let me go to free cam so this thing doesn't keep taking me away. So wherever the circle of the sentry is, this detects anything invis, including enemy observer wards. So I'm going to get to that right now because I'm going to talk about warding right now. But this sentry ward detects anything in the green circle, detects anything invis or observer wards. So that's one good way to reveal invis characters. The only problem is you can't move it. So if a hero is invis and he walks out of your circle, you can't see him anymore. He's invis again. Now, the other option for invis is Dust of Appearance. So basically you buy a dust, it's 80 gold, you pop it, and it reveals enemies around you in probably about the same radius as this, I would guess. It reveals invis units. It does not reveal observer wards, though. It does not reveal observer wards, but it reveals any invisible heroes in the circle. So, and if they walk out of the circle, they're still revealed. So they're not revealed if they fog you, because there are, trees where they can walk into. But if you have vision of them, like if you can see them, they're revealed once they get dusted. So dust is a really good way to see invisible heroes that are very mobile, or just in general, dust is good against heroes that go invisible. Sentry's also good, but dust, both good options for different situations. So then observer wards. So, or just kind of warding in general. So like I said, the 1 or the 5s are, kind of the warding characters. 4s can definitely help. 4s should help. But as the 5, I like to control the observer wards. I buy a lot of sentries. There are a limited amount that you can buy. But the observer wards are free. So that's the wonderful thing about observer wards. They're completely free. So the 5s just buy them and can place them wherever they want for free. Sentry wards are 50 gold, but you want to buy a lot of sentry wards. Sentry wards are really good. So this is an observer ward right here, placed by the enemy team. So they have all of this vision. You see that circle? That is huge. They can see so much from this ward. And then this is also, they put the sentry here because if we had a ward up here, see the circle of the sentry? If we had a ward up here, they'd be able to de-ward it. So there's a lot of warding and de-warding that happens that's very important. Like, it's really bad for us that they have this vision because we have a Pudge who wants to be in the fog and wants to throw hooks from the fog. And the whole time, they're going to have vision until now Pudge thought that they had vision there. I don't know if there was a reason, if they acted weird around a hook or something, or if he just wanted to check. But Pudge bought him a sentry ward. Pudge bought a sentry ward from the shop. So here he has 2 wards each. Now to toggle between the wards, because your wards stack, to toggle between which ward you're going to place, you double tap your wards. So like for me, this would be X. I have this slot bound to X. So I would double press my X key and it would swap between observers and sentries. So right now, since the blue one's on top, when he places a ward, it's going to place the sentry. The yellow one is the observer. So if he wanted to place an observer ward, which the observer wards don't see invis, they just give vision. He would double tap the X to place the observer ward. And whichever one's on top is, that you see on first is the one that's going to place. So he places the sentry ward here and he kills the observer ward. Now the observer ward gives him XP and gold. It gave him 120 gold. As the game goes on, you get more gold too and more XP. So definitely really good when you can get D wards because it shuts down the enemy vision and it gives you gold and XP. So that sentry cost him 50 gold. He got 120 gold for getting the D ward. So 120 gold for the 50 gold investment, plus he got XP, plus he denied the enemy vision. So as you can, kind of tell, warding is very, very important. So there's a lot of times in later game situations where if I'm the 5, I always have a ward in my inventory. I don't want to place all my observers. I want to save at least one for when a big fight breaks out. If a big fight breaks out here and I'm playing the 5, one of the first things I want to do in that fight is ward up on this eyeball on this cliff. Because if you ward up on cliffs, it's going to give you more vision. If you ward like on low ground, say you place a ward here, it's only going to see stuff on the low ground because in Dota there's low ground and there's high ground. So if you want to place stuff if you want to see the most vision possible, you want to place it on the highest ledge basically. So there's these little cliffs that have the eyeballs kind of telling you, hey, place a ward here. They also get dewarded a lot, but these are kind of all around in different spots. There's one here. They're kind of all over. So you want to, there's one up here. Those are good ward spots. They give you the most vision, but they're also, like I said, people are going to deward those sometimes too. Warding is very important. Like I was saying, high ground, low ground stuff. I should probably talk about that a little bit. So if you're on the high ground up here, say on top of the stairs, and somebody's low ground, they have some sort of crazy mischance on you. It might even be like 40%. No, maybe not 40, but if they're a range hero and they're attacking uphill, they have a mischance. I don't know what the mischance is off the top of my head. Probably should, but I don't. But yeah, so if you're like a range character, you don't want to be attacking someone uphill. I mean, sometimes, but if you want it to hit guaranteed, you want to be up on that hill too. Or not be attacking low ground to high ground. And the way vision works, and a lot of times what you'll see is like a team will place a ward on a high ground like this, and then they can like see when the enemy team's coming in, and they can like set up a trap for them. Where they're waiting here, the enemy team has no vision. Say you have an observer and a sentry here, so they don't have vision, and you can kind of camp a high ground. And high ground is very, very, very important in fights. It's very important to have vision, and it's very important to have high ground. And there's one other thing I want to mention too, is there's this item called Smoke of Deceit. And Smoke of Deceit right here, it's 50 gold. When you cast it, so say Pudge had smoke right here, and he casted it, it would turn me and him both invisible. So smokes are really important, especially later in the game. They are important early too, because you can make movements, even if the team has wards, because it makes you go invisible. Not fully invisible, but it makes it so the enemy team can't see you. It's not like a normal invis, it's different, but basically you can cast that, and if your whole team's around you, everybody in your team, the enemy team can't see them until you get close to them. Once you get within a certain range of the enemy team, the smoke pops and they can see you, but a lot of times you'll see people make smoke plays where they'll smoke up as a whole team, and they'll run across the map looking for the enemy, looking for a team fight. They'll smoke to Roche so the team can't see them if they have wards. Because if you're just like 5 people walking across the map, you're going to walk across a ward at some point. They're going to be like, oh, there they are. They're walking across the map. It's like, that's never going to work. So you pop a smoke. They're only 50 gold. There's a limited amount that you have, though, of them in stock. It's kind of like the wards. Like right now, there's 3 of them in stock. 3 is the maximum that can be in stock. But yeah, smokes are really important. Yeah, I think that's kind of. I don't want this to go any longer than it already is. I think that's a lot of the basic stuff. One other thing I wanted to mention was what I said about the roles 1 through 5. That's what you see in like a little bit higher MMR games. If you're just starting out and you're a new player and you're queuing up, don't expect your teammates to all be, oh, let's do these 1 through 5 roles. It's like you might be on a team where 3 people pick carry heroes and you're like, okay, fuck, like what the hell is this? So you kind of just have to adapt, do your best, and there's going to be a lot of frustrations along the way with stuff like that. It's just inevitable. People don't like playing support. A lot of people want to play core roles, and especially at lower MMRs, people don't understand how to play support roles. So just keep that in mind that early on, you're going to have frustrations with your teammates, with them not wanting to play certain roles. And it's just something you're going to have to deal with. And when you get to, when you get hopefully more games in and you get a little bit higher, MMR or whatever, hopefully. And there's also a role queue feature. You can role queue for certain roles. And then, say you queue for carry as the role queue. That's what you want to play as carry. They have the same thing in League, like a role queue type thing. You queue for carry, you might have to wait a little bit longer, but you get carry, and then it's guaranteed that there's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody's going to have a role. But if you're not queuing role queue, and there's no role queue in unranked. So if you're queuing unranked, which you have to for a long time, I think till you get like 100 hours, there's no role queue. So you get into a game, somebody might not want to play support. If you don't want to play support, you're going to have 2 carries. I mean, it's just like something you're going to have to deal with. So, yeah, it sucks, but that's just the reality. So anyways, Dota is a freaking awesome game. I'm glad that you watched this video. I doubt anybody made it to the end because I rambled and probably didn't say anything too smart. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/jhammy. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm not like trying to say leave it in the comments like how most people do, because I really don't give a shit. But like, if you, I don't know how else you get a hold of me. So if you left a question in the comments, maybe I could answer it for you. Yeah, I just kind of was winging it. So anyways, thanks for watching, and peace out, gamers.